Now, as of this moment, Disney and Lucasfilm are really trying to rebrand the Star Wars franchise and bring it in a different path, led by Jon, George, and Dave, to really kind of satisfy the fans, to win back the fans that walked away after the end of the sequels and the whole Gina Carano situation, really trying to just reshape the franchise into a more positive route. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, one thing that a lot of fans have been very skeptical about is everything to do with Kathleen Kennedy leading the shows of Skeleton Crew and The Acolyte. Now, those two shows, by the way, are coming out this year and next year. We got Skeleton Crew slated for this fall, and The Acolyte so far, if it doesn't get delayed again, for the second quarter of 2024, right around spring of that year. Now, moving on, Lucasfilm recently has been developing something very special for the fans behind the scenes. It went from early development into, of course, this limbo stage for a couple of months, and now it's back on track. There's a lot of great things happening for the future of the franchise and where it's going to go in order to honor the Skywalker bloodline and the family tree. So let's tap right into all of this. Now, we know that Lucasfilm, when we're talking about Jon and Dave, given that they have a lot of privileges at the company now, they have been cleaning up house, they've been firing some creatives and rehiring some of the lost ones, as well as hiring new ones to kind of just rebrand this company from the ground up. And that is basically what Bob Iger is allowing to happen. He is the one that called the shots on Jon and Dave to really gain those privileges. Now, moving ahead, with Disney and Lucasfilm preparing to make great change for the Star Wars franchise, they are also getting ready to make big announcements. However, behind the scenes, Lucasfilm is planning something substantial for the community that involves the character Luke Skywalker in order to satisfy the fans. Further, it's described that one big project that is in the works that they are aiming to release in 2025 or 2026, the latest, is a Luke Skywalker dedicated series that is currently dubbed as Star Wars Jedi Knight that will focus on the events between episodes 6 and 7. Mark Hamill will be actually reprising his role as Luke and will be working with Jon and Dave. As of now, many storyboards for the show are coming together as a script is being formed, and that their goal is to begin filming sometime by the middle or end of 2024. Now, it's aimed to be an anthology series that will also feature characters like Mara Jade, Thrawn, Kyle Katarn, and other new villains and heroes to become a part of the story. Now, let me just stop right here for 1 second. Now, we talked about this project a couple of times earlier, this month, and of course last month as well, and how it is coming together. They are trying to respect the Skywalker lineage as much as possible. Now, the thing about this is that a lot of fans, I think, are going to love an anthology show. We have another one in the works called Circle of the Wills, as well as Tales of the Jedi Season 2. And, by the way, Circle of the Wills is going to be live action. The thing about this is that I think anthology shows are really going to kick off and become very popular over at Lucasfilm when it comes to Star Wars for two reasons. Number one, you don't have to rely on watching the show in order, and number two, it's going to add a lot of variety. It's not going to be like a show that relies on really kind of doing something in order or carrying an actual story for continuing something. They can tell a whole new story from, one episode to the other to kind of create a variety to see what fans enjoy and what fans don't like as much. And that, I think, is really what's going to make the anthology shows very strong. I think it's why a lot of people loved Tales of the Jedi. In fact, I don't know about you guys, but to me, Tales of the Jedi had a very fun format to it, given that each episode is something of its own. Now, moving to the next thing, alright, we know that Kyle Katarn, one of Luke Skywalker's best Jedi students from Star Wars Legends, he is going to become canon in the upcoming lore, and one of which has a lot to do with Mando Season 4. We're going to be talking about that as well. But the thing about all of this that I think really kind of lends itself to the fans is how they are basically not just focusing on Luke in this upcoming project, but it's also going to be about the lives that surround around Luke Skywalker. So, moving to the next thing here, Favreau already has a plan to incorporate Ben Solo into the storyline, and dozens of notes have already been produced by John and Dave for the direction of the story. The structure by Lucasfilm is to have an older version of Luke narrate the story of his younger life. John and Dave are already planning on to tell a big tale of Luke's temple on Yavin 4 in the upcoming Star Wars series. One of Luke's best students is also set to become canon. Kyle Katarn, John, and Dave are planning to tease him also in Mando Season 4. The budget for the show is actually planned to be twice as high as Mando Season 4 for Star Wars Jedi Knight. So that's also very much reassuring. The fact that it's going to have an even bigger budget than Mando Season 4, twice as much to be exact, making it very movie-like, very cinematic looking, and all the like. Now, the other thing that I have to point out is that they are on the hunt for getting other writers involved. Not just John and Dave, but they also want other writers involved to help out with John and Dave. And they're looking for well-established, very well-known writers to handle this overall story. The thing about this that some fans may not like, and I don't know why they wouldn't like this, but some fans may not like how it's going to use too much of Luke, and that it might demystify the character or kind of oversaturate the character. I don't believe so at all in the slightest. At all in the slightest. I think that it's going to be great and healthy for the fandom. I think it's going to be absolutely stunning, and it's what the fans need to kind of just get all the Luke Skywalker fun stuff, you know, that's been backed up, and to finally just release that into the actual community and really kind of embrace it. So, this is something that has been long overdue and something that I think is very well needed for the franchise to survive. I'm not saying that Luke is a necessity every single second, but it's something, an angle of Star Wars that fans really want to see in live action. We got a little sliver of this in Book of Boba Fett, and fans absolutely enjoyed it. They cherished it. And just imagine that, except maximized by like 12 episodes long. And I think that's really gonna create a lot of value for the character of Luke. You know, it's about a story of showing Luke throughout the ages. We're gonna be getting different forms of Luke, different iterations of the character at a different age. That's what's gonna be so great about this anthology show, is that it's not just each episode is aimed to be different, but each episode is set to take place in a different point in time. So you're gonna have him, you know, very well, for example, an episode in his 20s or an episode in his 30s. It could be something like that. So overall, guys, I'm very much intrigued to hear what you guys have to say about all this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you also very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon we hear them moans again.